Hi, welcome. I'm Nira Berry, life and happiness coach, and your host of Happy and Healthy, where we explore and discover all the many ways of keeping you feeling happy and healthy. And remember to watch my Good to Know segment at the end of each show, where I tell you all about many good things about what's good to know. So today I want you to welcome my guest. My guest is Janet Stanford, and Janet is truly a creative force. Really, she's the founding artistic director of Imagination Stage, and you're also the winner of the Harold Oakes Award for Innovation and Excellence in Theater for Young Audiences. Wow, that's amazing. And among other things, you have commissioned U.S. and international playwrights. You really are a creative force, and
thank you, Nira.
And I'm very impressed. And so I know that you're the founding artistic director. So tell me, what inspired you to be involved with this?
Well, I love theater for young people. I was lucky in that I grew up in the United Kingdom. And as a kid, I got to go to London and see theater there. And my passion for theater came from doing school plays when I was a kid in England. And when I came back to the States, I found that, I got involved in the drama school and the drama club, and I lived in New Jersey, so I took courses in New York City. And then when my career moved into theater, I found that the audiences that I really wanted to talk to were young audiences. So it's been a really, something that I experienced, was very lucky to experience as a child myself, that I've been able to help grow this field in this country over the last many years, so that we are really reaching children in our immediate area with, I think, very high quality work.
So first of all, I could barely, eke out the British accent. Now that you're talking a little bit more, I can hear it, but that you mentioned it. But
well, I can put it on a lot stronger if you like.
I bet you could. Yeah. So, what need did you see in the community to want to work with this age group? This is for what ages?
Well, we really have children from birth, from 6 months up, all the way up to 18, as well as
it's a big span.
Yes, it really is a wide age span, and we try to serve them. There's some overlap. So while we have classes for that entire age group, the professional theater has two departments. One that's for the very young, children 1 to 4 years old, and then the main stage, which is primarily for children 5 through 11 or 12 years old. And then our classes start again for Mommy and Me with very, very young children, and go all the way up to performing companies and through high school.
So let's walk through the different age groups that you mentioned, and why is this important for them to have theater in their lives?
Well, I think as parents, we're always fascinated by our children's talents, and we so often hear, my child is a natural, and that is true. They are, because it's true that all children learn through imitation. We learn how to speak by imitating the sounds that we hear around us, and we learn a lot about behavior by watching what's around us as well. So drama, which is at its basis, the imitation of human behavior, is a very natural way for young children to learn. So our philosophy and our educational model at an Imagination Stage really invites every child in at a very young age, because so many preschool skills are best learned in an interactive kind of way. So Mommy and Me classes plant the seeds for rhythm and rhyme and learning to repeat and enjoy and make faces and characters and sounds, all of the things which a good mom or dad is already doing, with their little one. But when babies see other little ones doing the same thing, it increases their enjoyment, stimulates them, and adds to their ability to do more. We started our Theater for the Very Young about 10 years ago, based on a model that had been going much longer in Europe. And we just were so delighted by the results of that work. I knew from watching these plays in Europe that it was terribly important that the group be very small, that you never have more than, in our case, we never have more than 50 children in the room with their caregivers, because the work wants to be interactive. When you're 2 and 3 years old, you're very into your senses and your motor skills. So sitting and watching something for 45 minutes is not what you want to do. It's not what you're programmed to do. And these plays are interactive. The children sit around the stage and there's moments for them to come up and interact with the bears or the mice or whatever the characters are on the stage. And a lot of it is very sensory. Like if we pretend we're going out in a boat, then there will be spray that comes around and we can really feel, the mist on our faces, and we can touch the soft things. There's props that the kids are given so that they have pieces that they can play with, a flower or a little butterfly or something that's part of the story that they also have that they can manipulate as part of it. And it's just a delight for the parents too, because you see them seeing their child really learning and appreciating things in a way that is very active.
That's lovely. So when the imagination stage was first started, it was more for like high school kids, or
no, it was really Bonnie Fogel, who is the founding executive director, was a parent in the Bethesda area, and she was disappointed, I will say, in what her children at that time, we're talking 1979, were getting in the way of arts activities in the school system. So she ran a talent show at one of the elementary schools and saw such an incredible number of kids who came out for it and how important it was to parents. She said, we need an art school where this can happen too. She founded what was then the Bethesda Academy of Performing Arts, and that became a place where kids could take classes. And in the very first 10 years, we expanded our programming to kids with disabilities. And then when I came and got involved, it was more about the leap into professional theater. How could we complement the program that was kids acting for themselves and for kids to involve professional adult actors doing plays in the best possible artistic way for our young people in the community.
So some of the programs that you have are just shows that people can just attend.
Yeah.
Right?
So we have about 100,000 people coming every year.
Wow.
And
100,000.
Yeah, the vast majority of those are coming to buy a ticket, and some of them come all 5 shows. Some of them come, only once a year. But then our student population is a healthy 4,000 per year. At any one time, we have about 4,000 kids in classes and camps, and that's not to exclude the very important work we do in residencies, in classrooms, or working with Health and Human Services. We do a lot of satellite work, like many kids who live too far away from Bethesda to make the trip after school to come to classes. We have satellite classes that are all over the county.
So you send
where we send a teacher and with our curriculum, and they'll do some of the classes right in your school. So
will
your
they
child
do a performance?
It's usually not that intense because there are limits to what we can provide, But it's at least it's a taste, it's a beginning, and then many of those parents who are exposed to the arts then will sign their kids up for a summer camp, which is a terrific time because we then have the children for as long as 3 or 4 weeks, and that's when they get to do a performance of their own because we have them for 6 hours a day.
Yeah, and I can see that you love that because your eyes just lit up.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, for all those hours you can really do great stuff.
We love it. We love it, and they love it. They love it.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see your passion for this. It's when you speak about it, it's really wonderful. So why is this important, to do the theater or to even come and watch a performance, for any age group?
I think, being alive is a challenge for anyone at any age group. And I think that many of us as adults who aren't directly involved in being parents, sometimes think, well, adult life is so much more challenging than being a child. But actually, the things that we come up against as children are they're scaled to our size. So when you're a little person and you lose your best friend, or your pet dies, or someone's bullying you at school, those things are as devastating as financial problems or
Yeah.
your house burning down when
Yeah.
you're an adult. So, we look at children as citizens. We look at them as people who are facing the challenges that are appropriate to them. And we try to create material that speaks very respectfully to where they are in their life's journey. And I'm a huge believer in the theater as being a great place to gain empathy, a great place to lay out the very difficult choices that happen for all of us ethically in life. Early stories for very, very young children tend to have very dark or light characters, the good guy versus the bad guy. And that's good to understand. We need to understand the poles, what the opposites, what's good, what's bad. But then in theater, you ultimately, definitely begin to explore the gray areas. Well, why did somebody do that? Let's look at why a character like Junie B. Jones is so outspoken and difficult. Let's look at, in a story like the Beauty and the Beast, why was the Beast so mean? There's always these questions which speak to human nature, speak to the way we are as people and the choices that we'll have to make in life. And I always say to parents, seeing a play can be a great way for you to discuss important things with your child. If they ask about a character, they were fascinated by it, you can ask them, well, why do you think that character was, so angry or so unhappy? Have you ever felt that way? What could he have done different? How would the story have been better if it had ended a different way or somebody had made a different choice?
That's a really good jumping off point. Do you actually provide guidelines like that for parents? Like
We do. We have every show that we create has a study guide that goes specifically to the schools, but they're also available online for parents, and that can become a terrific jumping off place for some of the discussions that you might not naturally be able to tackle with your children or as easily or in the same way if you didn't have the kind of external object of the play and the characters in the play to talk about.
Yeah, and this is something that you have your hand in directly as far as selecting which shows to do. Is that correct?
I feel that one of the great opportunities that we have to build community is by doing plays that serve the different elements of our community. So we do a broad mix of shows. We do classics, we do things like Charlie Brown, which is, nothing could be more Americana than that. We do Cinderella, but we also do things that really honor specific parts of our community. Mulan is a show that everybody loves, and when we have a show like that, I like to do it in an ethnically appropriate way. So rather than doing the Disney version, to find some artists from China, to incorporate them in the piece, to bring in martial arts from Chinese artists who really do it the best. We've done plays that are Bollywood inspired. We have a whole series of hip hop shows. And that's a way for all of us to learn about not only ourselves, but each other's cultures and communities.
That's wonderful that you seek all these artistic people from all over the world, the playwrights and everything. So I want to hear more about that and all the different things that you do. So we're just going to take a short break. So, we're going to be right back. I'm Nira Berry, and you've been watching Happy and Healthy. Be right back. Hi, welcome back. I'm Nira Berry, host of Happy and Healthy. And we're going to continue speaking with our guest today, Janet Stanford of Imagination Stage. And so you were telling me that some of the plays that you actually put on, you commissioned playwrights from all over the world. I find that fascinating. What inspired you to do this?
Well, we have a lot of classics, and Imagination Stage is committed in part to doing those for children, to introduce them to those. But then I also believe new plays are really important. So over the 30 years that the Children's Theater has been in place, we've done 2 every year. So that is a lot of new plays, and looking for a lot of new artists to do them. Often the things that I can't find that are not on the classics list already are plays by diverse playwrights. So one of our largest initiatives has been to look for the voices that aren't typically already being presented. Karen Zacharias was one of our early playwrights. She is a fantastic Latino playwright who back in our early days wrote 7 or 8 plays for us, and she's now nationally and internationally produced with plays for adults as well as for children. And she just won a Helen Hayes Award for one of her pieces that was done at Adventure Theatre. A very proud moment for her, for the Theatre for Young Audiences, and for all of us. But in addition to that, other diverse playwrights are Anu Yadav and Salamina 24, who is a hip-hop artist. We've worked with Native American playwrights and many different people in order to try and get the stories that will speak to everyone in our community.
Wow, it's amazing that you do that, because you've really brought in like new blood and fresh air, and probably modernized a lot of the performances.
And there's also a lot of innovation. One of the reasons that I've worked with European artists is that I love their aesthetic and their perspective. We're currently working on a long-term project with a playwright from Wales in the UK and a director from Northern Ireland. And this is a piece called The Vanishing Elephant that will involve a lot of magic. And it's inspired.
Kids love that.
It's inspired by a trick that Houdini did in 1918 in New York City. And it will have huge puppets in it, and puppets that will vanish.
Oh,
so,
wow.
It's an intriguing possibility, and will be technically innovative for Imagination Stage.
Wow.
So there's always several things in the works
Of course.
at the same time, as well as things that are coming up soon.
And are you yourself? Are you a playwright yourself?
I am.
Yeah?
We've done a couple of partnerships with the Washington Ballet. One for The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, which I wrote and directed, and then another, a more authentic to the truth, or more authentic to Hans Christian Andersen version of The Little Mermaid that we also did with the ballet. And that was tremendous, because it meant we had a cast of 15 instead of our usual 7 or 8 actors, because there's dancers as well as the actors, and it gives us a chance to do something on a kind of epic scale that's bigger than what we normally do.
Do you ever mix the students with the professional actors?
We've occasionally, a play seems to really call for a child in one of the roles, but it's difficult because we perform during the weekdays, and there's difficult to find children who are really available, and the theater is large, so finding a young person who really has the projection and the training to fill that kind of space is challenging. We do put our student performers do use the main stage occasionally for the student productions, but then it conforms better with school. The rehearsals are in the evening and on weekends, and that makes it more possible.
I didn't think about all that. Yeah. So what would you tell a family that's out there that has never taken their kids to see a professional show, theater? What would you say to them?
I think it's great to try everything with your kids, and you don't know what they're going to love and what's going to really touch them or inspire them to want to get involved with the theater themselves. One of the things that we really emphasize with our school groups is that there are many careers other than acting associated with the theater. There's the people who create the lights and the sets, and the people who work backstage. It's a big employer and a wonderful realm to work in, and so we're always talking about the many opportunities that are there.
And all the wonderful skills that can be developed as well. Just like you, for instance, writing a play. That's you need to learn writing skills just for that.
And also the things you learn in an acting class are totally transferable to any other career. The ability to speak improvisationally, the ability to be confident in front of an audience and articulate your ideas. And I talk a lot about what I call a creative habit of mind. I believe that that's essential to the innovation in all the kinds of industries that we have in this country. It's a very easy thing to teach a child to be creative on their feet as an actor or in a creative drama class, because we're relating to things they know about. I can't teach you or anyone else how to be a creative physicist, but I know that if I'm teaching you about how to see one thing in 10 different ways, that's a habit of mine that you will then take on into whatever work that you do.
Absolutely. I mean, I know from personal experience in my a family member of mine that actually was promoted in the scientific job that she had, not based on her experience, but based on being able to think outside the box, and being able to express that, and that's really highly valued in any industry and in life in general.
Absolutely.
And also, I can see that it really develops team building skills and being able to work together as one unit, because everybody's relying on the different aspects, the lighting, the director, and relying on other people's lines,
Yeah. And you totally see that when the kids put on a play together. They just become so close to one another and so supportive. It's a tremendous bonding experience.
Do you have an example, of a kid that maybe you could mention that has really made an impact on them? I imagine it really fosters the confidence.
We see it over and over again when we'll go to a school and the teacher may take one of our artists aside and you say, well, we're going to do this script together, but I don't know about Johnny. He never does anything, that anyone else is doing. And we know that that child who is often acting out in a classroom is the very person who should be the narrator or the leader, the person who wants to be seen, you know. And those kinds of activities can really help to channel a child's energy and their excitement in a positive direction.
Oh, I never thought about that.
And also we see, there's sort of a distinction. I always say all children should be exposed to the arts, but we see a real difference at 4th grade, where it goes from the parents making the decision about whether or not the child should try something to the child saying to their parents, this is what I want to do. And that period, sort of from 4th grade through 12th, is, very, very intense for our kids. And when they have an interest that gives them energy, creates a clique of friends, if you will, who are interested in the same things, it can be a powerful support for them through the academic times and the times when they have all the pressures of school. We often see kids who come to us in 4th grade and they stay with us through 12th. And then I'll get a very excited call from a mother who will say, Mary, she just got into Carnegie Mellon or Yale or Brown. Thank you so much for giving her this focus and this thing that she loves and wants to do. So we do have those stories and we do see them. And we've been around long enough that we now have the babies of kids who came up through our program 20 years ago who are now bringing their toddlers to our early childhood program, and that's tremendously gratifying.
Yeah, that I can imagine that really is. And also I was thinking that this really fosters communication and communication skills, and like you said, being able to speak, impromptu. But it also, I can see that it takes their faces away from the screens, from their cell phones, from all the virtual reality, and this is actually like helps them communicate and one-on-one, face-to-face.
Yeah, absolutely.
Know that, right?
Yeah, it does.
So do you have like any lasting tip that you can recommend for parents to foster creativity? Let's say they can't be involved in this.
I think that games are always, a great thing to do. If you're, sitting with a child and you look up at the sky and there's a cloud, what shape does that look like to you? And don't stop at one. Ask them, well, could it also be this? Could it be? What if the cloud were black or green or orange? What else could it be? And then I always tell parents and grandparents that one of the hardest times for a family will be you're in a restaurant and you've ordered and you're waiting for the food to come and the children are like going crazy. There's nothing for them to do. And there's all this great stuff on the table. Pick up the spoon. What else could this spoon be? Could it be a tennis racket? Let's imagine that this spoon, we keep passing it around and we turn the spoon into as many different things as we can imagine that it would be, by showing what you would do with it, not with it. You don't get
That's
up
a
on
great
it.
idea.
And so that's a basic acting exercise called transformation of objects.
That's
and
fantastic.
It's something that can, fill a half hour very happily and keep everybody feeling creative.
So if somebody wants to find out more information, would you mind giving out the website where they can get that?
Sure. We are at www.imaginationstage.org, and you're welcome to go there and find out everything about what's going on.
And on a personal note, if you had your druthers about seeing any kind of show, what would it be? Are you partial to musicals, or what do you enjoy the most?
I really like everything. I think that there's so many different ways to express an idea theatrically. I love things that involve puppets and magic and mime and dance. I love anything that's kind of experimental and incorporates all kinds of different storytelling techniques.
Oh, that's wonderful. So we've come to an end of the show, and so I thank you so much for being my guest today.
Sure, thank you,
and really helping us foster our creativity in our children and even in us and different things that we can do. So thank you so much. I'm Nira Berry, your host of Happy and Healthy, and stay tuned for my next segment of What's Good to Know. So I'll be right back.
It takes less than 1 minute to find out if you may have prediabetes. You can do it here. But I get it, you're busy, and busy people can't have prediabetes. I read that wrong. They can, okay? Just go to the site.
Hi, welcome. I'm Nira Berry, and I'm a life and happiness coach and host of Happy and Healthy. And now it's time for What's Good to Know. And What's Good to Know is a series of success in work and in life that I'm doing. And I want to talk to you about personal connections, personal communication, and really about how the eyes are the windows to the soul. I saw a video recently about how a teacher started a new program where her kids would stand every day, another kid would stand at the front of the school and greet all the students coming into the school. And it really fostered one-on-one contact and eye-to-eye communication. And it really was beautiful because some of the kids you see hugging. And I realized that in our life today, we're so busy that we don't have that face-to-face communication anymore. A lot of times we'll just send an email or a text. And it's really something very, very special to have. And so one of the ways that you can bring this into your life is to really foster more face-to-face time by saying, let's have a one-on-one meeting rather than an email. And maybe when you're going to the store, say hello to the cashier or the store attendant and ask their name and just say hello and make eye contact. They'll really appreciate it. And maybe schedule times to meet with your friends during the week and really have that one-on-one communication, because the eyes really show a lot. Like when you're stressed, people can tell, like your eyebrows are furrowed and maybe your pupils are really constricted and tight. But when you're happy, or if you love somebody, you can see that their pupils are dilated. They open up really wide. And when you're happy, your eyes brighten up. And that's why people say, oh, you're bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. And so try that and let me know how that works. I'm Nira Berry, the happiness coach, and you can reach me at happyandhealthy@mmctv.org. And I look forward to hearing from you. I'm Nira Berry, your host of Happy and Healthy, and I hope you have a happy day.